It's the smoke up, where we toke up. Time to roll up. Shit, hold up. It's the smoke
The second I heard about it was when it was actually the very first story. When it was just like, woman was kidnapped during 911 call in the middle of the day, in the middle of the street after following the toddler. And I heard that and I was like, bullshit.
It's the smoke up, where we toke up. Time to roll up. Shit, hold up.
A little follow up on our RFK observations. He recently came out and said that he read a book that said that COVID was race targeted, and he was like, I read this book. It says the COVID vaccine is race targeted towards basically. So he like says like. He stops and then he like rewords it like he's saying it, and he's just like, the COVID vaccine, it hits different genes or some bullshit like that, and it mostly affects whites and blacks, and it's more resistant with Ashkenazi Jews and Chinese. And so he got lit up for that.
Yeah. See, and like, okay, it's no secret to either of us that we don't exactly see eye to eye on that topic, but I don't agree with people just making up bullshit. I'm skeptical of.
Well, the thing about RFK is he is a true believer. I don't think he's a grifter. He's a true believer, and he's too old to understand modern science. That's his problem.
Well, but I'm not even talking about him specifically. Whoever made up the shit he's talking about.
Can you turn me down a little bit? I see a clipping whenever I talk as loud as you.
A little bit, huh?
Just the tiniest bit.
Yeah, something loud.
That looks way better. Yeah, that's way better.
Okay. But, so whoever's making up the shit he's spreading, it doesn't matter if he's the one that came up with it.
Yeah.
Because I've heard so many different things that just don't even
like
go together.
Yeah.
Like, so I had some lady come up to me at Walmart while I was stalking, like, fucking, I don't know, maybe like 4 nights ago or some shit. You good?
Yeah, I was just trying to...
But, oh man, that's that's a TikTok clip right there.
Yeah, we'll put that on TikTok.
But this lady came up to me asking for a box, and then like,
okay,
I couldn't because it wasn't. It's kind of, I don't want to get too into like my work day, but no, I have to go through a bunch of different departments.
Yeah,
when I do my department, I have to sift through a bunch of shit. So it wasn't even my shit. So I basically told her to talk to the person who stocks that.
Yeah,
and they told her that they wouldn't get to it in time or whatever. But then she comes back up to me and she's basically like, well, let me just leave you with some information then. And then she told me about this documentary on Rumble that has I think she said it was called Watch the Water. So maybe we'll fucking look it up or something.
I want to do a video on different conservative propaganda films, so that might fit in there.
So we might like review it or something. Yeah. But according to this lady, this documentary has irrefutable proof, like proven by scientists.
Okay.
That the COVID vaccine.
The same 4 scientists and everything.
Probably. That the COVID vaccine is snake venom.
What?
And it blew my mind because I was like, that's unlike anything I've heard so far. That's the wildest theory I've heard. Like
what?
That's on like.
No,
I don't know.
Insane.
Like, I don't know if she made that up or if there actually is a documentary on Rumble about this, but I haven't looked it up yet, but it's been in the back of my mind. I'm like, what the fuck is she talking about?
That's insane.
Like, I mean,
that it's snake venom. That's not even a real conspiracy.
That's what, like, I don't know how I haven't heard about that.
Yeah. Well, I really hope we attract like conspiracy theorists and stuff to argue with them. I want to argue with them. because being a non-believer now, I feel like I've entered both worlds.
See, but
You know?
this is where I find it kind of funny, though, is you talk about it like religions, like two belief systems.
Well,
and now you've converted from one belief system to another.
I mean, it really is a lot like
it
that.
is like that for some people, but when you allow it to be that, but if you look at things objectively, you can...
No, because there's a lot of things with being a conspiracy theorist that are based on faith, like a religion. And there are a lot of things with being a normie that are based on faith, like a religion.
But when you say conspiracy theorist, you're grouping all... What you're actually talking about is people who believe every conspiracy they hear on the internet. That's who you're actually talking about.
No, because they don't even believe in every conspiracy. I believe in conspiracy-minded people. People who have a propensity towards believing conspiracy. So they can believe in 10 of them. Not every single one, but they believe in the little cluster that works in their worldview, you know? And that is like, it's like a personal religion to people.
Okay, but what about the opposite? Somebody who refuses to ever believe that there's a conspiracy at all.
Well, I mean, I'm not that either, but if I were
you kind of seem like that.
No, because
what conspiracies do you believe in?
You can't. I believe that the CIA might have had something to do with killing JFK.
Everybody believes that now.
Not everybody, but
except for boomers.
But that's still a conspiracy. That's not proven, and a lot of people still believe in the. There are good points to both like theories, but I believe that way too much stuff was involved with the CIA that day for it not to have like been CIA related, and the people in the CIA directly benefited from this shit. Fucking JFK wanted to shut down the CIA. That's not a secret, but that's a real conspiracy in my mind. And then you get and then on the other end of the spectrum is believing that every rich person is a lizard. Now we can argue about the little things in between, but if you're going to ask me things, I'm going to fall on the other side. And a conspiracy-minded person, a conspiracy theorist, will fall on this side. But there's still a lot of people who've never considered any of this stuff who I would consider a normie that falls on the other line of where I am. People who have never looked outside of this liberal worldview or ever even tried to analyze the idea that authority can be corrupt on some level, you know? Yeah. And there are people like that, and I definitely don't agree with those people, but I don't agree with someone who, like I used to be, even I could use myself as the example instead of being particular about any specific person. But if you brought up a conspiracy to me, I would be more inclined to trust it than the legitimate, not the legitimate source, but the source with more legitimacy.
Why is that though? What was your train of thought back then?
It was probably just
well, I mean, it's you, so I don't think you should have to use probably as a word. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you kind of do when you're analyzing your past self. You don't know exactly.
Okay.
But
sure.
I think I was probably in a position where I was very emotionally unwell, and I think I was looking for various ways to cope, and I was living in a world that allowed me to cope with the things I was dealing with by sort of redirecting all of my the things that would probably drive me fucking crazy about my life and projecting them outwards, you know. And so seeing the cynicism and the adversity I dealt with in my life and just sort of pasting it on every single authority figure I saw, every story I saw, because I know the official stories of what I dealt with as a kid and the stories that are true, and they never line up like in personal life. But you can't apply every personal experience to wider systemic issues or even widely popularized events, because those don't work that way. There are people with way more inclination to learn about those things than you. And those people are the people you should be learning, talking to and listening to, not the third person outside of the whole thing, watching it from fucking bird's eye view with binoculars, even though he doesn't have to. Fucking Alex Jones at the Bohemian Grove, you know? He went there with a guy named John Johnson. That's his name. He's a British guy. They were good buddies back in the day. And they both went to the Bohemian Grove on that same day for that same event. And he went through the front door and Alex snuck through the bushes to get because Alex wanted to get better, more dramatic footage. So he snuck around the whole thing, videotaping people from bushes and from vantage points. And meanwhile, John Johnson, he has a documentary that he made in that same time about him going around and talking to all the people there. And under no pretense by the government, he was there as a truther as well. And he just like realized that they were just fucking weird. They were weird rich guys doing a pseudo spiritualistic cult thing for fun, you know? And that's like what he discovered. But Alex Jones mystified it more by like taking fucking faraway pictures of the owl and, you know, like trying to portray it in a way that was spookier than what it really is.
I think it's kind of spooky either way. If you're
It's
doing
disgusting.
like mock fucking human sacrifices, it's pretty
disgusting.
fucking weird. Like
It's disgusting, but it doesn't.
I think those people should definitely be looked at under scrutiny. Like, why are you doing that?
Well, and I've heard a lot of the people I listen to, I've heard them make this little, I've heard a specific one make this joke, but it's like, everybody believes that an elite cabal meets at Bohemian Grove every year. And that's true. They just don't understand what it actually is, you know? And that's the problem.
Well, and I think that's where it all begins. Like when you look at JFK's infamous speech, like right before he was assassinated, he's talking about secret societies. That's what he's talking about. He's not saying there are lizard people or there is this or that or it's the Freemasons or the Illuminati. He's just saying, I almost remember parts of it verbatim, but he's just saying that there are secret societies in this country and that's not good for this country. It's not good for what we stand for. And that was the whole point. And I think that's where.
Yeah. And he was talking about, as far as I remember, he was basically referring to a more authoritarian side of our government by referring to like the threat within and stuff. And that's why it looks really sketchy that he got assassinated by some guy who just happened to know the CIA and just happened to just be like one of the fucking best shots in the world, which is interesting because I think you could even believe that he shot JFK and still believed it was CIA because fucking this is.
Well, yeah. I love these black and white fallacies. It was either one or the other when it could obviously be both.
Yeah.
Like somebody could be working for the CIA and then be used as their fall guy.
Well, and what's that guy? Jack Ruby fucking killed dude right after he did it. I mean, there wasn't a chance for him to talk to anybody. And, you know, when that kind of stuff happens in other countries, we can usually account for it with, you know, the CIA. But it just happens to happen in our country. So it can't be the CIA because they don't work in our country. But it's the boomerang effect. And the boomerang effect is anything you do in domestic policy can come back. In foreign policy, it can come back domestically. It's a boomerang effect. And yeah, I think it's a perfectly valid position to have. But also, there's a whole fucking group of people out there who from thinking it's the Jews to thinking it's like monsters and demons, you know?
Well, it's the problem with.
And some people think those are all the same thing.
Well, it's the problem with like coming up with specific theories about things. You know what I mean? It's like you come up, you just get me. Huh?
I want to get high too.
Yeah.
Please.
This is like cash. Is that blunt rolled?
No, I wanted to talk about the strain.
Oh, okay, no, you're good.
Yeah, I'll talk about the strain and then I'll roll it. I have a terpene chart. I just have to put it on the thing.
But back to the whole like conspiracy-minded people thing though, because you were talking about it like you once were conspiracy-minded, now you're not, right?
Yeah.
Is that correct? Would you?
Yeah, that's fair.
See, I feel like I've always been conspiracy-minded, and I always will be. And I don't know if it's a gene or what, but yeah, I mean, I don't trust authority. I don't trust what I'm told if I can't verify it for myself. And I've always been that way.
Yeah, but that's a complex. That's a negative aspect.
I mean, it can be, but it could also be positive if you actually are being lied to.
Yeah.
So, like,
but I mean,
you're working from the presumption that you're not being lied to about things when you might be. And
the straw man you're creating of the third position, yeah. But
what straw man did I create?
Well, like when you say you mean like a third position. You don't mean me, because I don't just take everything as truth when it's spoken to me. It's that you want to verify stuff before you come to conclusions about it. You know, like there are just so many things that are taken out of context by bad actors. And
yeah.
When you're conspiracy minded and you're like in the wrong media funnel, you're being fed the wrong, like,
aside from all the bullshit theories that people throw out there about lizard people or whatever, fuck all that. If you can verify for yourself that you have been lied to about some things, why should you keep trusting of those authorities? That's kind of my stance on it.
Because you have to look at it. This is it's bad actors and a system that enables them. And so there are good actors and bad actors, and you have to look at people individually and figure out what their motivations are. You know, like when you think about the government, you can't think of the government as the government.
No, but if you can find a government agency to be doing something as an agency,
well, you know, if you look
that no longer is individual people, that is a whole.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
But no, if you look at something like USPS, for example. Trump appointed Louis DeJoy at the beginning of his term for USPS, and Louis DeJoy continued to proceeded to just get rid of a whole bunch of mail machines, and was purposely trying to make the USPS agency ineffective. You can't say that USPS did this. You have to look at the individual in charge of the agency at that point of time and why he was doing that. He's like a Heritage Foundation guy appointed by Trump, which means he wants all mail to be private industry. He doesn't want a public industry for mail. He thinks that that's taking away from the free economy, you know, the free market, when the government steps in and uses our tax dollars to create a free service that can be filled by somebody who can make a business, you know. And that's his motivation, and that's why something like that would happen. But you could either say the post office is inept, or this person is causing the post office to be inept. You know, like those are two different positions you could have. One is informed, and one is the impulse that you can look at from like instinct and know, which is true, but it's also out of context. You know.
Okay, but like, I'll just come out right out with my best example. We can turn it into a debate if you want.
It'll be a 5-second bleep the second you say this.
No, like fucking NASA, okay? Because I know for a fact we can argue about this all you.
And we can argue about NASA. I've been learning a lot about NASA.
I know for a
fact, flat Earth rebuttals.
I know for a fact that these motherfuckers are full of shit.
Well, it depends.
When they fucking have fucking videos of them doing spacewalks, like interviews on the space station, but they're clearly on wires, and you can verify for it.
I can send you a really good video that debunks that. There's actually
I've watched all these, lot of these debunking.
There's a professional photographer that's been doing debunkings over the last like 6 months. He used to just do photography, so you probably haven't seen it.
What about when they fucking fade out like CGI and shit? Like it's clearly edited.
It's video artifacting.
That's not video artifacting.
Yeah, it is.
No, when you have a fucking person turn around a corner and they fucking, instead of turning around the corner, they just disappear and everything is the same.
Are you referring to the video of all four people where the guy flips?
No.
Or what? You're gonna have
there's
to
a video. I mean, we can
if,
watch the video. But I would have to sift through fucking.
I know
footage.
There's one specifically that gets accused of a lady having her hair sprayed, and it's all sticking up all crazy, and there's a guy doing flips, and the thing is that you see the guy leaning down and catching the wire with his pinky and
You don't think that lady was using hairspray?
No, because earlier in the video, if you watch the whole video, because it's from a whole like 2-hour interview with these astronauts, if you go to the beginning, she has her hair tied in a bun. and she pulls out her ponytail and shakes her hair, and then it's stuck up for the rest of the video. Fucking possible with hairspray.
What do you mean impossible?
Impossible.
If
with
it was in
hairspray.
space, it would just be floating around freely.
No,
like,
that's not. That
is because it does it in other footage.
Ooh.
And it does it on have you ever watched 0G airplane footage? Which is basically it's simulating.
That's how they
space.
do shots for movies.
Yeah, and that's what the hair does.
That's how they shot.
Because they're in 0G.
That's how they shot. I think 2001. No, 2001 was done a different way. There was a newer film that was shot by doing that. But the way that they had to do it was by cutting it a lot. And these are continuous videos with no cuts. If you know anything about video editing, you can see that there are no cuts.
I didn't say that this was on a 0G plane. I'm saying if you watch 0G plane footage, which is what you should see in actual space footage,
well, it's not
their
exactly
hair
the
is
same.
floating freely.
It's not exactly the same.
For the second that they're floating in...
Yeah, but there's still momentum, and it's not the same as space. Every space video, hair behaves the same. If you look up all the videos...
It doesn't, though. That's not true.
Yeah,
you say every space video
the ones I've
behaves
seen.
the same. Yeah, the ones you've seen.
Yeah, so...
But I've seen footage where it sticks straight up, and then I've seen footage where it floats around, like on 0G planes. That's what I'm telling you.
If you were to say that, you would have to reevaluate the footage from a more technical perspective that you don't have the know how to understand. That's the whole problem with seeing something and accusing it of being CGI. Well, not CGI, but being special effects, because these are if something like that was being done, it would be more than was technologically capable for a fucking single YouTube video, these are regular streams that they do from these stations, it's not something that Hollywood would have the capacity to fucking produce.
I'm not saying Hollywood is doing it.
I'm saying NASA,
NASA is basically Hollywood. That's what I'm saying.
Well, that's what I'm saying. There's no way.
Okay.
When it comes to
have you ever seen a documentary called, and you've probably heard videos talking about it, calling it bullshit, but have you ever actually seen this documentary called A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon?
Oh, I've heard you talk about it, but I haven't watched it.
Yeah, I've talked about it.
I know
for years.
These people, they take shit out of context.
No. Let me talk, and we can do the fucking footage and everything. I'll fucking send you the footage.
Well,
I'll send you
we'll do that for next episode because we've already spent probably 20 minutes on this. We'll do our terpene shot Carly Russell. We'll finish the episode next week. We'll prepare the video and we'll do it at the top of that episode. Get our blood pumping. How about that?
All right. I
think that's fair.
Okay.
I think that's fair.
I want to get high.
Yeah, let's talk about the terpene chart real quick. So, I do want to talk about that though.
No, because there's actually a lot of context you're missing if you haven't seen what.
But there's a lot of propaganda you've consumed, and that's what I'm trying to
I know that, and I know
to you.
I think you don't realize how self-aware I am about what propaganda looks like and what to look out for.
Well, think that you trust these sources the same way someone would trust a legitimate source.
I don't trust the sources. Now, okay, now I'm gonna have to fucking. You're gonna have to make me talk about this shit, man.
Well, let's pause on that, okay? Let's pause on that. Let's talk about the terpenes. Maybe we could talk more at the end of the episode.
Okay, I feel like you're making an accusation now that I have to defend myself. I'm not just spreading some propaganda bullshit here.
No, but what I'm saying is you're referring to this documentary the same way I refer to a documentary that I find is legitimate. That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I'm not
because the information in the documentary is legitimate.
You find the information legitimate.
Yes, I don't know. I don't care about the fucking source.
Yeah, but at the same time, it would be worth acknowledging that the same way I don't spend 4 hours doing homework on a documentary to figure out if everything was legitimate, you didn't do the same thing for these documentaries you've seen. But that's what I'm saying. Like, there's a
See, but that point,
there's a little bit of faith in each of our beliefs, and that's all I'm saying here. Like,
okay, so I can't even defend myself here.
well, you can defend yourself.
Without talking about it.
We'll talk about it.
Okay,
I'm
so
still pulling up the chart. You can make
in
one
that
more
documentary, there is leaked footage of the Apollo 11 astronauts faking part of the journey to the moon. It shows them pretending that they're halfway, showing the Earth at a distance, and then they actually just turned out the lights and they were looking at it through a round window. And in the follow-up documentary, this footage is shown to Buzz Aldrin. And instead of saying this footage is fake, instead of saying, oh, we were just messing around, we were doing
He hits it.
fucking, huh?
This is the guy he hits.
Not at this point. He immediately starts deflecting attention. He says, you're talking to the wrong guy. Talk to the administrator at NASA. We're just passengers. We're guys going on a flight. He's like, oh, you must feel real good about yourself being the guy to expose this, huh? And he keeps saying shit like that. And he's like, if you show this footage to anyone, I'm suing you. He never once says the footage was fake. He basically admits that it was real and threatens to sue the guy. If you watch this, if you watch the footage and then you watch Buzz Aldrin's reaction, you cannot honestly tell yourself that the footage is real. Because he's admitting that it's not.
If those are the two pieces of information you have, yeah, but I feel like there's a lot more research you could do for that. I feel like there's a lot more personal work you could do, like leg work that takes hours and verifying stuff and rewatching stuff.
When he basically, like, when you watch him melt down and freak out and have no defense over
because he's probably upset. He's like an old man who, like, and if he actually did go to the moon, I'd be pissed if people were coming at me saying I didn't go to the moon. It's like the one thing I did. It's like the one fucking thing Buzz Aldrin's known.
If somebody came to you with fake footage, you'd be like, this is fake. Or if it was footage of something else, like you were doing some sort of practice tape, you would have been like, that's not what this is. This is something else.
But that's what I'm saying. What if it was taken out of context and he was just indignant? Like, what if he was being shown a clip taken out of context and he got indignant and got mad? You know, you're not taking in like an emotional personality aspect of this. But I think
you're not. You don't have the full context, though.
I'm also saying you don't have the full context. But I think that it's okay.
I don't think you have enough context to say that.
I think I do.
I think there's enough context in these two documentaries together to prove
I don't think
that
that's true.
This man is lying.
In two conspiracy documentaries, do you think there's enough context to prove that the guy that they're specifically targeting is lying?
See, you say conspiracy like it's a bad word that automatically disproves whatever you're talking about.
I'm using it as a bad word. I'm using it as a descriptive word.
No, you say, okay, so you have your proof is these two conspiracy documentaries. I mean, it doesn't matter what kind of documentary it is. If the information has...
If you watch 2,000 Mules and you form all of your immigration policy like feelings off of that, you've been duped by propaganda. It's a propaganda film about the border.
You got to use...
The audience would understand. If you watch Zeitgeist and that's the only information you know about 9/11, then you are fucking misinformed. And that's just the truth.
Well, yeah.
Like,
I agree with that.
So if you watch Zeitgeist and Change, that doesn't make you any more
But that's a straw man because you're implying that this is the only information I have on the moon landing. No, it's not.
I'm saying...
This is just, to me, the nail in the coffin when you have the man basically admitting on camera that he faked the thing.
I think nails in coffins are suspect. Because I thought the call to the moon was a nail in the coffin, and that's easily disprovable. I felt really dumb when I read about it. I felt really fucking stupid when I went back and read about the actual science behind it.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Nixon talks to the astronauts on the moon during a phone call on live television. And I thought that was impossible, but it's actually very fucking easy. Like, it's actually one of the easier things that they could do. That's why they were able to do it back then. They just relayed it to different fucking different like it's the thing. What's the thing that's not in the sky? Antenna? It's not antenna. Is it antenna? Tower, like antenna towers, and they transferred it like that.
No, I know what you're talking about here.
To a different country, specifically to get to the satellite that was under the moon to get to the moon.
I don't think that's the same because that's that's a theory you heard, and it turned out to be wrong. What I'm talking about is a man's reaction to being called out on something.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that could be a very that's a very personal moment. I don't think that's enough to.
One more thing I'm gonna have to mention.
Okay, one more.
In that other the second documentary, it's called Astronauts Gone Wild. Another astronaut, I don't remember his name. When the dude like goes to his house and does an interview, he like tells him to like swear on the Bible that he walked on the moon, whatever. He freaks out, kicks him out.
Yeah.
They leave. He accidentally leaves a live mic on. And when they're leaving, you can hear him talking with his son. And they're talking about calling the CIA and having him assassinated. His son's like, you want me to call the CIA, have him waxed? And they're like, okay. Now this is one of two things. Either they're fucking around, trying to scare the people. That's a possibility.
Or an earnest bad taste joke. You know.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Or they have connections that they really shouldn't as astronauts.
I would believe in the 60s, I mean, they were probably doing acid with fucking CIA agents. I mean, I don't doubt that at all. I'm just saying, like, we probably went to the moon. It was just really fucking stupid that we're giving all of this. Like, it's a waste of fucking money no matter what. I don't give a shit if we went to the moon. It's a waste of fucking money. NASA is a scam.
I mean, that's a good, I agree with that.
And that's like my position, is that NASA is a scam that's robbed us of a lot of fucking money over like dick waving contests.
At least we can agree on that much.
Yeah.
But I think when you realize that some of this shit has been faked, it kind of makes that a lot worse.
Well, so, and I think I wouldn't even doubt, and this is like steel manning the whole position with the Buzz Aldrin thing. I wouldn't doubt if even like they faked bits for propaganda purposes, but also they went to the moon because they had to, because there was no way to efficiently fake that when you're in an actual Cold War with the other opponent.
Wait, are you actually going with the whole it would be harder to fake it than actually go argument? Is that what you're saying here?
With the technology at the time versus the stuff that they showed,
it is never going to be harder to fake something like that than to actually do it. You're talking about going to a different planet. Like that's not.
Well, that's not what I mean. It's like
no, but this is something Neil deGrasse Tyson has tried to earnestly argue, and it's laughable to me. He's like, no, the technology wasn't there to fake it, but the technology was there to go. Like that's insane.
The technology.
That's insane.
That's. I don't give a fuck about Neil deGrasse Tyson. What I'm saying is...
Well, I was just hoping that you're not using the same argument as him. Because I think it's a really bad argument.
Is that going to the moon would have been impossible to fake to the other side. The Russians would have been able to know that we didn't actually go because they had fucking shit in the sky too.
But if they were faking...
No, because one of us would have called the other out on it. I guarantee
if everybody's
that. You don't know.
Shit, then
you don't know enough international history if you don't think that USA and Cold War Russia would have called each other out on that publicly just to humiliate the other side. They were fucking at each other's throats over fucking Russia ruined its fucking country in the pursuit of trying to be equal standing with America and be communist at the same time. You know, like it's. They would have fucking called it out. I just think that we got there just in time. We did a few fucking stupid tests just to be like, okay, we fucking did it. And we left because we didn't need to prove anything anymore.
I don't believe we went to the moon.
I think we did.
Okay, we can end that.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah, we both came up with, well, we didn't come up with, we came across this
out of the ether.
Yeah.
It happened when we thought about it.
We invented it
in our dreams.
In our dreams, yeah.
Yeah. So you
and then manifested into real life.
Your whole inspiration here, because my inspiration was separate, completely different. We'll talk about it after.
I don't know if there was really much inspiration.
When did you first hear about this story?
I don't know, honestly. My YouTube algorithm is constantly giving me true crime and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I've spent a little too much time.
So when you first heard about this story, did you hear about it like, oh, this thing happened? This thing happened to this lady? Because that's how I first heard about it. It was before it was exposed. So when I first heard about it, I was like, that's fucking bullshit. I called it out as fake the second I heard about it.
I heard about it like as it was coming out, but people were like skeptical. Okay, so
You heard about this through True Crime. So then I'll start first.
It just got recommended to me. Yeah, so I heard about it like right as it was unraveling, kind of like people. Nothing came out about it. Well, actually, I think the police had some information, like kind of exposing it.
Yeah,
they were on
the
her.
first story that came out after the initial story was the police being like, "We're skeptical of this," you know.
But we should probably say her name.
Yeah. So this is Carly Russell, and the way I heard about it was there were actual news reports when she was kidnapped. So this is a girl who was allegedly kidnapped. After seeing a toddler walking down the street unattended, she called the police
She called 911.
Called 911 and described following a kid and then pretended to get kidnapped on the phone and disappeared for 3 days. And in the intervening 3 days, a lot of people were talking about it online. And the second I heard about it was when it was actually the very first story, when it was just like, woman was kidnapped during 911 call in the middle of the day, in the middle of the street after following a toddler. And I heard that and I was like, bullshit. To kidnap them, that's like a Law and Order SVU thing.
I wouldn't say that never happens.
No, it doesn't happen.
But I'm sure
maybe
it
once or twice it's happened, but it's not like a...
I wouldn't make extreme statements like saying that it never happens, because then
But
the
thing is, if you know more context, that is a commonly told fictionalized story of the kidnappers' tactics that aren't real tactics.
I feel like it's
kidnappers like dialectic.
I feel like it's similar to the whole razor blades and candy on Halloween thing.
Exactly.
It happens, but it's very, very rare.
It has happened. It could happen, but it isn't a systemic issue or an issue like something that happens regularly is. You know, it's like saying, well, what if this what if this oxygen tank in my house blows up? You know, I shouldn't have oxygen in my house because this oxygen tank can blow up. Yeah, it has happened. It can happen, but it doesn't mean
I feel that way about this torch.
Yeah.
All the time. Every time I use this thing, I have this like flash in my head of it blowing in my face. Yeah. This like Final Destination fucking moment.
That's called an intrusive thought.
Yeah. I know it's an intrusive thought, and I know it's irrational.
Yeah.
Well, and that's why I don't let it get to me. Yeah. But it always happens, you know, every time I use it.
I get a lot of intrusive thoughts. I'll do anything and I get fucked up intrusive thoughts.
I think those are normal.
I fucking help my kid get in the car, and I'm just like, hopefully a fucking car doesn't hit us and just smash my daughter.
I think that's natural, though, because if you didn't have those...
It's a trauma response. It's not something that happens to neurotypical people. Getting like wildly graphic intrusive thoughts regularly.
I think when it comes to your kid and having like a thought like that is very natural.
But there's a level like I actually get like a visual intrusive thought. Like at my worst, when I was like in like a pretty deep depression, I was getting them like every time I like looked at somebody, I was like having fucking intrusive thoughts of them dying like for no fucking reason. It was like seeing it, and
I get what you mean. A little like too graphic.
Yeah, like an unnatural.
Instead of just a thought, it was more of a daydream.
From having an anxiety disorder.
I get what you mean.
It's like a worse version. And that's anxiety. That's not like a normal instinct.
I also think anxiety is a normal instinct, but
but an anxiety.
It's a response to. Well, I mean,
there's a difference between a disorder and a normal response. You know, like. People feel anxious when they do something, but they don't feel like if I get like, I'll get like a panic attack where I start shaking and shit.
I mean, you don't need to tell me about panic attacks because
you and I both have anxiety disorders.
I've literally had panic attacks in front of you, and you had no idea what the fuck was happening. Yeah, you know what I mean.
And that was before I knew a lot about any of this. But like, and before I had my first panic attack, because I had my first panic attack after I got laid.
Yeah, no, because I remember I've had a couple panic attacks in front of you, and I could tell by your reaction that you didn't know what was happening.
Yeah, I was confused.
I could tell that you had no idea what to do or what was happening, if I was going to die or you like.
And we've known each other since we were literal children, so it's been like a 15-year-old Bradley fucking having a panic attack on mushrooms because he thinks a snake is down his pants, and me just being like, "What is happening?
That's a little more of a just bad trip thing. I think that's a little more normal.
I think
but I think that stems from me having an anxiety
that was a
disorder.
panic attack that was caused by.
I guess. Yeah, you're right. But I feel like panic attacks are similar to a natural response that people have while on mushrooms. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And a bad trip, I think, is something else. But we never did enough mushrooms to have a bad trip as much as you had a panic attack set on by being high on mushrooms. You know, we the first time I did enough to trip balls was like after like years of us hanging out. Like I remember like the most I've ever done is like 6 grams at once, and I was fucking gone. I can totally see someone having a bad trip because it's like you're in a different fucking place when you get high enough.
Yeah.
But like we also have panic disorders that can be caused by just, you know, something goes a little bit wrong.
I used to have panic attacks from weed too. I had to quit. I don't know if you remember that. I had to quit for like a couple months because every time I would come over to your house, I would take one hit and then I have a fucking panic attack. And after like 4 or 5 times, I was like, okay, this is not a coincidence. Like I can't smoke weed anymore.
We narrowed it down to the weed.
Yeah. And eventually I was able to start smoking again, which is nice. And I've been smoking since, but yeah, I mean, it happens.
Yeah. But anyway, Carly Russell.
Yeah, holy shit. We are so bad at sticking to topics.
No, that's pretty good because we can still cut this up into different things. Like it's great YouTube material, and then we'll have podcast listeners as well, you know?
I mean, it fits the theme anyway.
Yeah.
We'll just always blame it on the theme of the show. Like it's the theme of the show. We don't have to.
Yeah, and we'll say it's the weed and not ever imply that it's actually us both being a little bit manic and having 3-hour-long conversations, whether or not we're on weed and flying off in different directions, you know?
Yeah.
We can say it's the weed because all you've ever seen is the weed. It's movie magic, you know?
That's what it is.
When actually we probably smoke enough weed to where we're like probably pretty normal. Like when we veer off, I could see it being confusing for people, but people probably aren't like, oh, these people are fucking ripped. These people are too stoned to fucking talk about anything.
Anybody listening to this podcast probably smokes weed, probably hangs out with people who smoke weed.
Well, my intention when I incepted this idea, this quality, high-minded idea, was I was like, what if there was a show where people can get high with some friends? You know, it's just, you can get high, be the third person and think in your head, respond to us in your head. And we're just here getting high with you. You know, you're smoking some weed. It doesn't mean we don't want people who don't smoke weed to listen to the podcast. But when I imagined it, I was thinking, well, it'll be definitely be listenable if somebody's like totally toasted playing video games, listening to an episode of our podcast, just for a couple of giggles and a little bit of true crime, you know, a couple of our giggles, because you might not laugh at anything we say. I don't know how funny I am. I don't know if I'm funny yet. I need 4 or 5 people to tell me I'm funny before I believe I'm funny.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I'm at 1, and it's Erica, and I think she's lying.
She's biased.
I don't know. I think you're pretty funny.
Well, thank you. I think you're pretty funny. This is the affirmation minute.
This is
in the middle of Carly Russell.
The bromance moment. Put a little.
But yeah, Carly Russell was kidnapped, and I knew it was bullshit the second I saw it.
Yeah.
Now, this isn't a judgment statement on her, because I think the only type of person who would do something this fucking, like, flagrantly dumb and illegal and just a bad idea, just completely for a little bit of, like, what was she trying to get internet clout?
This is the thing I was trying to figure out, like, right before you came over.
Yeah, I was wondering about it.
I was trying to figure it out so we could, like, I could maybe have that to contribute to the conversation, but
nothing.
I can't figure it out.
So she doesn't have a social media? Because if she doesn't have social media, then that's pure just like.
Well, I didn't look up her social media. I was just kind of looking at, like, on Google and, like, on YouTube to see, like, what's come out, to see, like, because the video you linked that we can watch here in a second.
Yeah, it's a report. It's like the last thing I want to show.
Yeah, exactly. That was like an official statement from her lawyer. So, I mean, that's the most we're going to get from her.
Yeah. Well,
and it
that's
doesn't
saying-
have anything like that. It doesn't have any kind of motive or anything.
Well, that's the best they're gonna hope for, is that it was like a state of mild delirium, you know, where she was like, maybe even could claim she was hallucinating, you know, maybe she was
Fugue state,
hallucinating.
like Breaking Bad.
But the only thing is that she did disappear for 3 days, and that's an act of effort. That's not just, oh, I happened to disappear for 3 days. That's you hid for 3 days.
Yeah. It's such an insane thing to do.
Yeah, but either way, it's bad. It's bad for people who are trying to actually do like real work on child trafficking, because they're fake stories about how people do fake kidnappings that have no real like connection to how real life actually is, you know. Like it could happen, but the way the thing happens the most of the time is how you get rid of the big problem, you know. Like fucking, you're not gonna heal your broken leg by fucking putting band-aids on it, you know. Like you need to fucking fix the whole process, and so these fucking bullshit stories, they make the smallest things seem like the bigger things. Like there are people who go out and they're planning to kidnap your wives and daughters with fucking stranded children. You know, many people aren't going to want to pick up stranded children because they didn't follow through on this story. They're going to assume that stranded children are like a ploy to get kidnapped.
That's a really good point, that like how this could actually harm children in the future who would need help, but you've got some fucking dumbass who's afraid of the child because they think that the child is going to lead them into a death trap.
Yeah. And that's what, like, it's officially cemented in at least like hundreds of thousands of people's minds now, because people don't follow through on news stories that completely like we do, you know. Like we hear about this and we're like, we have to know the ending. You're a true crime guy. I'm a big like I have ambitions of being a journalist on some level, so when I hear about this, I'm like, okay, I want to know the actual true ending to it. And so we have that. Do you have any last words before we show it?
No, not really. I think we've about covered it.
Okay, I'm just going to keep the audio and the recording this way because it'll be easier to line up the video with it.
Was it playing out loud?
It'll be playing out loud. I think that was a bad idea last time we did the other thing.
We basically said fuck headphones this episode.
Yeah. Well, because we don't need them. We talked about how we were just doing it to look like we were podcasting, and I'd rather wear my hat.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was early this afternoon. Then I received an email stating that a statement was being provided by him on her behalf. Mr. Anthony asked that I read the statement in its entirety, which I will do now. My client has given me permission to make the following statement on her behalf. There was no kidnapping on Thursday, July 13th, 2023. My client did not see a baby on the side of the road. My client did not leave the Hoover area when she was identified as a missing person. My client did not have any help in this incident. This was a single act done by herself.
Where did she hide for 2 days?
Any hotel with anyone for the time she was missing. My client apologizes.
So
for
she stayed in the woods.
acting
She hung out in the woods.
volunteers who were searching for her, to the Hoover Police Department and other agencies as well. As
No,
well as
because they
her
would have
friends
found
and
her.
family.
She had to have been at her house or
We
something.
ask for your prayers for Carly as she addresses her issues and attempts to move forward, understanding that she made a mistake in this matter. Carly, again, ask for your forgiveness.
It's a hell of a mistake.
Yeah, that's not a mistake. That's intentionally creating misinformation.
I
But
don't
just
think
to
you
what
deserve
end?
forgiveness or something like that.
To what end would you create such misinformation? You know?
Yeah, and
And
the
if it-
harm that you cause by doing such a stupid, selfish, ridiculous,
Yeah, but I don't wanna-
unlogical thing.
But
like,
the big part is I don't want to pine on it being like her fault necessarily. This is a person who's probably heard these like rumors of this bullshit and then is having a mental health crisis. The problem is we don't have any like systems to counteract something like that. You know, like the president isn't gonna do like a press thing, being like, many of you may have heard about this event, but just be aware that this is a very small thing that is unlikely to happen, and that if you see a child on the side of the road, please, for the love of God, fucking see what's happening. What?
Yeah.
Don't just what? But it's a common thing, you know. I actually heard a different variation of this this folk
You have the ashtray over there.
I don't want to call it like a folk story, but it's like a folk belief, you know, of like traps for kidnappings. And I've heard of people using strollers on the side of the road. You know, you go over and look and see if there's anything in the stroller, and then they come up and snatch it, you know. And I admit, when I first heard that, I was very, very uncritical of it. But that's not a thing. I mean, if it is someone doing something like that, it's like someone robbing a bank, like how they see someone rob a bank in movies, you know.
It's like being afraid of going to the bank because you think it's going to get robbed.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point too. Or just using information from popular media as your information for how you interact with the real world. You know, you have to understand there's a difference between fiction and reality. Like, and people just have a hard time with that. Like, nobody's like, hey, I wonder if this is actually, like, this lady lied about this or whatever. This lady said this, but how common is this thing? I should look it up. Oh, wow, it's actually immigrants just disappearing from the care of their parents, and people don't know where they went. Is most kids trafficked in America, and we can't keep track of them because we fail to acknowledge them as people when they enter the country. So there's no good tracking on them, basically creating a child factory for anybody who wants to fucking send children across the country. And not to mention, there were actually like reports, and this is beyond the kids just disappearing. There are kids being sent to foster homes just all across the country from the camps on the border, and there's no tracking where they went to or whose parents they were or where they come from, which is fucking ultimately, this is people being worried that their bubbles are being infiltrated. You know, it's not really worrying about like the wider issue of like what kidnappings are and how many kidnappings happen to which people. It's about if this kidnapping is going to happen to me, because I should be comfortable walking down my suburban street, going on a jog. And if I see a kid, I should be able to be like, hey, are you okay, youngster? You know, without getting grabbed up. And in this world where I can't do that, it makes me so upset and so reactionary and so scared of other people. And it makes it impossible to build community, or like even on the level where you're afraid to help people because you think you're going to get hurt. You know, it's just, it's a minority of situations.
It's important to have that in the back of your mind.
Yeah.
I want to make that clear.
Yeah.
Don't just like willy-nilly help people out on the side of the road or something, but yeah, you shouldn't be afraid of helping people or interacting with other people because of the minority situation where they might have malicious intent.
Yeah.
Because most people, believe it or not, are actually decent. Like, you know, we all have our faults, but most of us are not evil. Yeah. And don't want to hurt other people.
Well, and a lot of things just don't happen the way you hear about them. Like the most interesting way you hear about something isn't usually the way it's commonly done, you know, in the real world. Yeah. Like it sort of also, it's tangential to like, there was a whole big thing in, I think, the early 2000s about hitchhikers and how they're like dangerous and can kill you, and never pick up a hitchhiker and shit like that. And at the same time, there have been serial killers caught since then that were picking up hitchhikers. They weren't the hitchhikers. They were picking up hitchhikers because guess what? It's easier to kill someone hitchhiking than it is to kill someone driving their Mazda down the street, you know? And that's how it actually happens, is people who are more vulnerable and have less like access are the ones who get fucking murdered. And the ones who murders don't get solved because nobody gives a shit. You know?
That being said, if you're going to pick up a hitchhiker, definitely be cautious.
Yeah. Maybe don't pick up every single one you see.
Yeah.
Like,
And I wouldn't pick up a hitchhiker if you don't have some kind of form of self-defense ready in
probably.
your car.
Maybe.
I would make that suggestion.
But yeah,
You know,
and don't
like-
be too overly vigilant with people because hitchhikers are probably homeless people, and homeless people a lot of the time they can't work because they have mental things that are preventing them from working, and it also prevents you from getting unemployment or a house when you have a mental thing that's untreated. You know, if you have schizophrenia and you're walking around the street, you're never going to think about how do I apply for Medicaid to get the schizophrenia treated. You're scared of like things you see, you know, and you know, this person might act erratic if you ever try to help them, but don't assume that they're going to be like aggressive if they're acting erratic. They might just need help. Sort of like George Neely, you know, getting murdered, or Jordan Neely. Is that what it was? Was he the killer? No, Jordan Neely was the person who got killed. I like to remember the names of the people who get killed. Not the names of the killers.
Yeah.
Casa Bonita.
Casa Bonita.
What's this?
You ever been to Casa Bonita?
I heard that the South Park guys bought it a few months ago.
Yeah. You're a huge South Park fan.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't know about now, but you were
I still watch
the
the new episodes.
biggest South Park fan when we were growing up.
Yeah.
Like you could literally quote like any episode word for word at any point.
Yeah.
You could see the scene and be like, oh, it is what he's gonna say. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I figured you would have heard something about this, but maybe not. Yeah, so the South Park guys just bought it. Trey Park, what's her name?
Matt Stone and Trey
Matt Stone
Parker.
and Trey Parker, yeah. But I guess the employees are not happy with them.
Like they're bad bosses.
Yeah, so far, apparently.
Ooh, that sucks.
Well, they're not getting paid what they were promised they would be paid, apparently.
So they were like promised raises when they bought it.
Well, so from my understanding, they were promised full-time jobs at like $14 an hour plus tips. I think that was the number. And then what they did was they've only been open like 3 or 4 days a week. So everybody gets like 20 hours and it's a flat rate of $30 an hour, no tips, which apparently is worse. I haven't really worked out the math. I don't know how much they're getting in tips, so it's kind of hard for me to do that. But a lot of them are very unhappy about it. Like 50 of them got together and like put together a letter
Well, yeah, that's
for them and presented it to them. So like,
I think that that's actually a very nuanced question about labor. Actually, I think this is a very interesting thing to look at because servers make a lot when they make a lot. And
they make a lot in tips.
Yeah. And they don't make much when they don't make much. You know, they have down seasons, times when people aren't going out as much. But when they make money, they're making more money than an hourly person can really imagine. And it's kind of strange, the difference between back of house and front of house, you know. There's a literal class difference. But they're still, you know, workers. And if they're saying that they're making less than they were before, it does seem like an interesting thing is being brought up, because if you think about it, $30 is a pretty fair wage, unless the cost of living in that area is like insane.
That's why I was like, the jump from 14 to 30 seems like a big jump, but I've heard of people who work at restaurants down here making like fucking extremely low
150,
amounts.
200 a night.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
From tips.
But I mean, like the actual wage, I've heard
the wage is $9.
Yeah, and then what's the fucking minimum wage right now?
It's 13 something.
Yeah,
that's for untipped wage.
That's still not. See,
It's
the jump from
not-
14 to 30 still seems pretty huge.
Yeah, and if you think about it, if it's the entire restaurant, including back of house, think of all the people that just got a huge fucking pay raise, you know? I don't know what they were making before. Maybe it was $18 an hour. Restaurant back of house workers don't get paid much more than that in Colorado, from what I've seen. Like, on the high end, you're making $18-19 an hour if you're a back line cook. And that's like almost doubling your wages for anybody who was working back of house. But I could definitely see that like being like cutting a lot of other people's wages in half. But that's like one of the problems with restaurant businesses is it's a very unfair, and they like, I think that that's it. It's an unfair system. And I think that enables bosses to pit people against each other in a way, you know, because I've seen a lot of back of house people be resentful of front of house people for getting tips, and that makes it impossible to form a union. You know, if half of your fucking business doesn't like the other half or isn't interested in aligning their interests because one half makes fucking 4 times as much and the other half doesn't make close to as much and doesn't like the other half because of that, you know, it's like kind of pitting your workers against each other. And there's an actual like restaurant society that like is pretty big and influential. They're like a lobbying group in the US, and they're the ones who try to keep like tipped wage a thing and keep it from all just being like everybody having the same wage in restaurants. I find it interesting that in the situation, the people who would have been making the most money in that situation, besides the owners, are rebelling now. You know, it's interesting because they're both working. They're all working class people, but because of the slight differential in how they're paid, it creates like schisms. You know.
Yeah, and yeah, it could very well be this group is very dissatisfied and the other group might be very satisfied with this. I mean, I haven't heard what they have to say.
Yeah, we haven't heard what the line.
They're not on the news talking about it.
Dishwasher, what is he saying?
Because yeah, it was like a group of 50 people. They formed like a fucking rebellion. Yeah, like wrote a little letter,
like their little front of house union type.
Yeah, basically,
group.
Yeah. To basically be like,
but
hey,
was it all
bullshit.
Servers? Were there tips?
I don't know.
Because
I mean,
cooks don't get tips. Why would they probably only got paid more in this situation, I would imagine.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point, because it would be only people who make tips who would be making less.
Yeah.
Right.
And in a high traffic area like a fucking Casa Bonita, you're probably taking home $300 or $400 in tips a night, which would average out to fucking $60, $70, $80 an hour, you know. Of course, in the winter, you want to get the same pay. And that's where, you know, kind of back of house is fucked too during the winter. They don't get as much hours, you know, like there's still a problem there. There's a lot of temporary staff that comes into front of house, but I think that's because of how it works, you know. Front of house people float around restaurants. I have serving experience. I can memorize your menu. I can recite it back to people. I come in here, I make my tips, I leave. I don't care about what you're paying me hourly, you know. I come in here for my tips. So I'd imagine they probably don't have as much connection to the business as a lot of people who aren't making tips do, you know, because you have to have more reasons to want to stay there than just for the money, at least. Like one reason I'm at the restaurant I work at right now is because it's comfortable, because I'm used to it, and it's comfortable, and it's a very homely environment. You don't ever have to feel like anybody's like breathing down your neck or anything. And that's what sort of being in a kitchen is, you know. Usually, sometimes you'll get fucking hard asses, but
yeah, I haven't worked in the kitchen, so I can't speak on this. You know. Just putting that out there. Yeah, I don't know anything about any of that.
I do find it really interesting. But yeah, you want to watch this video, or you want to?
Yeah, this is just a little news, so you can hear it from them. You know, there's a little news clip. What is it again? Alt.
You just click on it. You don't have. You only have to alt if you paste. So just click on it normal.
And you're renting out your RV and doing it all.
Mute it for the ads. Yeah. We're not doing free advertising.
Still muted.
So many are eagerly waiting for Casa Bonita to fully open.
The iconic restaurant originally said it would open in May, but has since only reopened partially, reduced hours. And there's another group that's getting very anxious for the full reopening too, and that's the workers. Denver 7's Rob Harris.
Okay, I already have to pause and say it's interesting that the news is only focusing on these workers too. You know, I wonder if, you know, the National Restaurant Society or whatever they're called has any influence on like news stations, because they maybe like what kind of subsidiary is this? Denver 7. So this is a pretty local thing. So maybe maybe, but yeah. So let's listen to this, because the class interests would be with the owners of the restaurants, and they want tips. So I think that's an important thing to keep in mind when you see the news also saying that workers want tips, instead of like, what about the hourly workers that were hourly beforehand, you know?
Spoke with employees who say the delayed opening of the restaurant is making it harder for many of them to make ends meet.
Now they're taking a list of demands to the owners.
Like it would be cool if it had more
now,
RAM.
some lucky people from their email list get to go inside. But most of the week, Casa Bonita's doors are locked and security guards are outside. And employees here tell me that's causing a bigger and bigger problem for them financially.
We want to have justice for each other.
A group of 50 employees and former employees have formed #WeAreTeamCasa. They delivered a list of demands to management this week. The top of the list is a plan to open 7 days a week, which will get them the pay
That's fair.
and the health benefits they expected when they signed up.
We were hired for full-time, 40 hours a week.
That is
but
absolutely
what we're getting
fair.
is 20 hours or less each week on average.
Yeah, fuck that.
And even some of us are making less than 15 hours. Now I have to choose between paying my rent, my car payment, or my car insurance. And that I
Yeah, I'm totally on their
have
side
to
now.
choose between those three essential
Because if
things.
this is the thing about hours, then yeah, absolutely.
Well, I mentioned that too.
Russ
but
Lee
hours
was let
are cut.
go after contract disputes last month. They say management switched servers and bartenders to a flat wage of $30 an hour,
Which I'm
rather
fine
than
with.
$14.27
That's fine.
an hour with tips, which was the initial plan.
It's a drastic pay cut, 40 to 50% pay cut. And this is truly a masterclass in how not to open a restaurant. It really is. I've opened several restaurants over the course of my career, and this is by far the most important.
Okay, so now we have a guy who owns restaurants talking on the subject. I thought this was a bartender or a server talking about this, but no, we have the
Who
guy.
is this guy?
He's just a guy who's part of the group who's talking about how I've owned multiple restaurants.
Yeah.
I wonder what association he might be a part of that might have a vetted interest in paying workers a lower wage so the customers can supplement that wage instead of them having to pay it, which is why they do tips. So why is a restaurant guy talking about this? You know,
Yeah,
why
that's
is
a good point.
why isn't this guy like, I've been a server for 30 years and this is the worst way a restaurant has ever run? No, it's I've run a bunch of restaurants.
Yeah, that's a
Fuck
very
this
good
guy.
point. I didn't even catch that. Who is this guy even?
Yeah.
Reached out to
Like,
management
where the
for
fuck did
He
he
didn't
come
even say
from?
his fucking name right
He
there.
sent us
Yeah.
this statement, quote, Casa Bonita strives to create the best working environment for its employees. This includes implementing the best compensation structure for all employees, not just a few.
Boom, motherfucker. So this quote is saying this exact same thing. They're saying that they want all the employees to be paid the same wage, which is fair because back of house people bust their fucking asses and they get paid half, a quarter of what front of house workers do. And it's a fucked up system, you know, because you can't tip the cook. You don't see the cook, you know, and his work isn't considered when you're handed your food. And if you think about it, like a big thing that causes this rift between front of house and back of house is that the fucking it's insulting to see someone who carries a plate that you worked your ass off to cook, bring it up to someone and place it on their table and get paid 3 times as much as you.
Yeah.
And if you're labor conscious and you work in a kitchen, you're aware of that. You know, it's not just like I can see a lot of people, they just don't care. They just don't notice, or they don't care. They're not that concerned with money, because that's a lot of people that work in back of house too. They like to just take things easy, you know. but also, like if you're labor conscious, you see that and it's an insult. And I think it's an insult. And this is a really good quote from the management because they're implementing a progressive thing here, something that the National Restaurant Association Board or whatever it's called, they don't want this. This is not what they want. They don't want more restaurants to implement this.
The workers with We Are Team Casa feel their concerns are not being addressed, but they sincerely hope to make amends and make Casa Bonita awesome.
It is gorgeous, it's fun, it's wonky and weird. It's crazy.
More than happy to show it off at full capacity 7 days a week with lucrative operating hours.
We're ready.
And that's, you see that guy? He's like crowded by the employees, but he never worked there. What is this? It's like a puff piece for fucking restaurant people.
Community support for their cause. It's already gathered about 1,000 signatures, and if you'd like to learn more about this, we have a link to it and Rob's story on our website.
They need to give them their hours back, though. The hours thing is the real problem.
Yeah,
and I think what's happening there is the dude there is taking advantage of the fact that people aren't getting their hours, you know? Okay, I'm going to check the cameras.
All right, make sure we're all good still. It hasn't cut us out of the episode.
Still going on that. Still going on that.
Fuck yeah.
It's going to be the best one yet.
Yeah.
We're like talking. We got all this stuff going. Cool. I'm making a tiny bit, but I'll put this rag here. Stop that. Stop it for a little bit.
Yeah. Just have to keep checking it.
Yeah, so let's get back to our doc.
Yeah, back to the docs.
So that was really good. That was really fun.
Yeah. I figured you would enjoy that. Yeah. I didn't know how much you heard about it.
Yeah.
But I figured you would have a lot to say about it because you're very like labor conscious and stuff like that.
And I work in the kitchen, so it's like it's a good intersection of the few things I know a little bit about. Like
you definitely had more to say about it than I did.
So what's this Afroman thing?
Afroman. We all know Afroman.
Yeah. Is this related to how he had his house broken into?
Yeah.
By the police?
Yeah.
And recorded it and made it into a music video because they were doing a raid for drugs. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So
is that all you've heard about this? That's it? Okay.
And the song. I know about the song.
So the police in that music video are suing Afroman.
Okay, that's cool.
For using their likeness in his music video.
Out in the music video.
Or like, well, not even for using their likeness, for causing them like emotional turmoil and distress and and it's funny. It's hilarious because
is this a statement from the police?
No, this is
a statement from Afroman.
This is Afroman.
Okay,
and he totally calls them out. He just
okay. Yeah, that's interesting. See, Afroman's interesting because I saw a video of him hitting a woman.
Yeah, I've always felt a little weird about him since then.
So I'm not sure he's the coolest guy, but also he's a very his weed song is very anti-weed. And
I've always felt that too. Yeah.
Colt 45 is the cringiest song ever created. Only 14-year-old dysfunctional girls like that. Like girls who are in like they're in a bad house.
And it's like they expect everybody to know that song.
Yeah.
All the lyrics. Like everybody's supposed to know all the lyrics.
They rap the whole thing. And you're like, okay,
and you're supposed to join like it's a musical.
Yeah. Nuts. Okay.
But
so anything else before we play it?
Not really. Yeah, no. So he just he kind of calls him out on it.
We'll see what Afroman says.
But yeah, I feel a little weird about Afroman after seeing that thing too. But
a legal battle over privacy for officers involved in a raid. At the center of it, rapper Afroman. After police searched his home, he used surveillance video of it in a music video and put images on merchandise.
I guess he didn't.
Now, some of the officers
he didn't actually. Yeah.
Alex Brochet traveled to Afroman's hometown of Winchester, Ohio, to learn more about the case that brought officers there and why Afroman decided to turn his experience into viral songs.
A viral song.
I was gonna clean my room until I got high.
And then she's like, here's this song from 25 years
by the name
ago.
of Afroman climbed to the top of the charts with a song like none of its kind.
Because I got high.
I didn't know Jane Silent Bob was in the music video.
Right.
45 and 2 zigzags. Baby, that's all we need.
You're gonna get copyright struck for this shit.
And a year later, a Grammy
no.
nomination.
Oh,
Singing
no.
them dirty rap songs. Stop it.
I'll just, I'll see when I'll see.
I got this one done.
It seemed like very short clips.
Fast forward 2 decades later, this is life for Afroman now.
I might put a
Living in
beeping noise.
Winchester,
I'm
Ohio,
gonna figure out a good
playing
beep
the
noise.
songs that made him famous.
Still singing that song.
Yeah. Oh yeah, his song is gonna get his copyright struck, huh?
Yeah.
Will you help me repair my door? Baby, pound, got it.
These days, Afroman isn't just singing about weed. He's also rapping about his experience with police.
Why you disconnected my video camera? Did you find what you was looking for?
How long did it take you to write that song?
To be fair, maybe a good 30 minutes. I think I just wanted to say whatever I was feeling. Most rappers, when they portray the police, they have to hire actors. Thanks to the Adams County Sheriff Department, they saved me a whole lot of money. They came over here with guns to kill me. The best thing I came up with was write songs about my experience and try to sell them and make some money to pay for the construction that they brought to my house.
Based.
On August 21st last year, deputies from the Adams County Sheriff's Department pulled up in front of Afroman's house in Winchester.
Driving home, like, I don't know, like 65 miles away from home, I got a call. My kids was next door
hold on
playing in the yard
7 minutes.
when they
Let's skip a little bit. Let's skip to right.
But 3 months later, he received a notice the officers involved in that raid were suing him, claiming they had suffered humiliation, ridicule, mental distress, embarrassment, and loss of reputation after they were released. Their claim demanded they should receive the proceeds that Afroman made using their image. What's your response to that?
these big tough dudes that laugh when you ask them to help you put your door back on the hinge. It's turned into these little whiny crybabies.
True.
Complaining
That's what I was talking about.
about my song. My only response to that was a rap song and a t-shirt.
We reached out to the Adams County Sheriff's Department via telephone and also in person. The spokesperson said they could not comment about the case because it's still under investigation. We also reached out to the attorney representing the deputies. They declined to comment on the specifics of this case, but they did say in an email, I intend to argue my client's case in the Adams County Court, not in the court of public opinion or the press. Experts say this case raises some interesting legal points.
The officers do have a reasonable right to privacy. We all do. But typically, that something has to be exposed that is intensely personal, and it would offend a reasonable person.
You're
Officers
dating
acting
somebody else's
in their
home.
job, executing their job functions,
You do not have a right to
typically
privacy.
not going to rise to the level of a violation of privacy.
Afroman has lived in Adams County for 17 years, a county of 27,000 people, where 96% of the residents are white, according to the Census Bureau.
Describe to me, how these last 17 plus years been living here in this community?
Yeah, when I ride down the street, I get the whistles, they've been overall nice to me. I had to go to Walmart the other day, and everybody was coming up to me, are you okay? Man, I'm sorry about what you went through. And then they tell me stories that they're going through the same thing too, but they don't have the platform I have to expose it.
While the
That's what I like
still
about this story.
unresolved,
Yeah.
Afroman is preparing to take a new direction. He's officially running for president in 2024. Talk to me about your platform.
What?
My platform is I want to make marijuana, cannabis, legal in all 50 states. There's no more rape.
Wait, he's running for president?
Yeah.
After that,
What the
I would like to
fuck?
see some serious police reform. If a cop doesn't wear a camera, he doesn't get a paycheck. Hey, I could win. I could lose, but I could win.
But you could definitely lose.
What do you think here, Afroman? You could win.
Somebody who could run the baton further.
Oh man,
As one of
that
many
is
throwing
funny.
his name into the ring are thanks to Alex for shaving.
Every time
pray to God that he does a presidential debate.
YouTube channel.
I hope he makes it that far.
That would be
great.
so
That would
good.
be so fucking
He should run for Libertarian Party. They would agree with the weed thing, and it would get off all the allegations of them being racist lately.
It'd be a win-win for
a lot
the
of
whole
allegations
campaign.
The Libertarian Party, fucking, there's this she's like a lefty lady. She's a black lady, and she does like like leftist news media, and she's on Twitter, and she was advocating for free insulin, and the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire replied to her and was just all like, well, if you want free insulin, then we should have free slavery, or we should have slavery, or some shit like that. And she was like, what the fuck? This is like racist. And then she like added the Libertarian Party, like of the US, like the actual one, not just New Hampshire. And they were just like, you see, Nina, giving people free medicine is just like slavery, because it costs money to do all of those things, and you can't just get it for free. It's like the most kindergarten.
So they're making the same argument that they
ever make
a lot of things.
Yeah, it's the libertarian argument,
which
it's a bad argument.
Like, it's really just an argument.
Yeah. Well, because it's getting paid for. It's being paid for by taxes. Everybody who worked gets paid for in that situation.
I just think it's ignoring the reality that these are things that most people want to pay for. Like, most people, I think, would agree that we need to take less of the, like, some of the money we put towards like military and shit like that, and like NASA. We talked about that earlier. However, you know,
which they're cutting some of NASA. They're giving a lot of that over to SpaceX and Blue Moon, which they just don't give them money, which they are. so
if they stopped giving money to these things that don't contribute to the betterment of mankind, and started giving it to free healthcare and stuff like that, I think most people would be okay with that. Like, most people, I think even people who think they're not okay with free healthcare, they've just been told that over and over, so they think that. But I think,
and they have a whole lot of built-in talking points that they may or may not believe.
It seems to make sense on the surface, because I used to agree with these talking points. I understand where they're coming from.
Yeah,
but
a lot of them are very surface level, and
it's very surface level because, like I said, it's ignoring the reality of what most people actually want.
Yeah,
you know what I mean,
and how societies function.
Like,
it's like, sure, like, that's my biggest problem with libertarians is it's like they want to live in an imaginary world, and and like force the world around them to bend to this imaginary world, instead of like understanding how things actually function and trying to like their best to like work with people. A lot of libertarians are big babies, or like literal adult babies who just don't want to be told to do anything. Ken Shapiro destroys Barbie. So
I added the little Ken Shapiro part.
Yeah,
there.
That's funny. I like that. I like that. So Ben Shapiro did a post on Twitter being like, "Hey guys, my team dragged me to the Barbie movie, and so I took my little notebook and I dressed up just like Ken from the movie, and I did that ironically. Don't worry." And I went in there and I judged the movie very harshly on my little notebook. And then I came back and I did a 45-minute long fucking video about it, just sort of ranting about like the patriarchy and stuff, like sort of doing the little anti-woke rants that he does, and calling the movie woke. And then I assume that this is the video of him destroying a literal Barbie, because I didn't see much about it. I saw like one picture as I was scrolling on social media earlier, and I didn't click on it. Yeah. So you could explain how you experienced this
fucking guy. Well, first of all, I watched Barbie today, actually. Yeah. We went and saw it this morning. She works at a movie. She's a manager at a movie theater, so we go and watch free movies like every week.
Do you guys still have free tickets? Can I get free tickets to Barbie? Because Erica really wants to.
You'll have to ask her.
Okay.
Well, but so yeah, we watched it, and I'll be honest. There for a little while, I kind of saw a little where the outrage was coming from, because it was very much like, okay, Barbie Land is perfect. Women are in control. The real world sucks because men are in control. Fucking spoilers coming up. Spoilers. The little thing.
Yeah. Little flat. I'll make a flashing spoiler sign.
Yeah. They go to the real world. Barbie and Ken do, right? They go to the real world.
Yeah.
Wait, mind spoiling this for you?
I don't care.
Okay.
I'm actually.
I figured you probably didn't care too much.
I'm very anti the Barbie movie because I don't like the idea of Mattel doing woke stuff. I mean, I like it's like confirmation for some women, but at the same time, Mattel is like a bad corporation. It's like an evil company.
It's weird because the movie kind of comments on that.
It's wild.
Yeah, it's like, yeah. But so Barbie and Ken go to the real world, and Barbie's experience is, wow, this is horrible. Men are in control and everything sucks. Ken's experience is, wow, for the first time, people respect me. Because in Barbie Land, Barbie was like kind of a bitch to him.
Yeah.
She treated him like shit.
Yeah.
She didn't give two shits about him.
Ken is a second character.
Yeah. So this is where the surface level, like, anti-woke shit is coming from, because that's kind of the dynamic throughout most of the movie.
Yeah.
But it's funny because Ben Shapiro claims he watched this whole movie and he judged it critically, and
and had his notebook and everything.
Yeah. But he either gets things completely wrong or he straight up lies, because he says that.
I wonder which one.
He says that the movie ends like on that note that, like, I think he said that Barbies and Kens need to stay away from each other or something like that. And I was like, are you fucking stupid? No, like, the movie ended with them kind of coming to the mutual understanding that they don't rely on each other for their own like, Ken doesn't need Barbie to be his own person, and Barbie wants to go figure out who she is. It kind of ended on a really generic note, actually.
Yeah, it's like a note of self-realization for a movie about dolls. Oh, wow.
See, but like, if you watch the whole movie and how it wraps up at the end, the whole like anti-patriarchy thing kind of loses its meaning, because they realize that, oh wait, no, Barbie Land isn't perfect because women are in control. That's not why it's great. That's kind of the conclusion that Barbie comes to at the end. You know what I mean? It's not like,
and you're in essence, that's like pejoratively. So.
It's so anybody who's actually watching the movie for like the ending message is not going to come out with, oh, men suck.
Yeah, no, it sounds like it's actually a very just base liberal message.
Yeah. Now, I think Ben Shapiro's like main gripe when he's not making shit up is that a little girl watching this movie, I guess, even if he doesn't acknowledge that how the movie ends, but like, even if like a little girl might not understand the whole, like,
it'll make her hate
men. So his whole gripe is that a little girl is going to go into that movie and come out hating men. I don't really think that's...
No, they probably like the colors and the dancing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many movies I saw as a kid completely objectifying women in ways that were completely appropriate at the time, but now you look back and you're like, that was a kid's movie?
Yeah.
You know? So
very strange and fucking...
I don't think I grew up with like a warped view on things because of that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's a little silly.
Well, being exposed to more ideas is a good thing. I mean, that's the whole thing. It's like,
at the end of the day, it's a fucking movie about Barbies.
Well, and at the end of the day, Ben Shapiro's like a weird guy who wants everything to be like a weird hyper conservative place.
Why is he so mad about this movie? Like, it's weird.
It's because he gets paid, and he's like feigning it, and he actually has fun doing this because people meme on it so hard.
Yeah, which I guess we're not helping here, but
I probably won't cut this for YouTube, but I'll keep it in the podcast. Well, I'll keep the whole video in the podcast, but I won't cut this into a segment on its own, like. Because I don't want to put Ben Shapiro in a title for anything, but we'll keep this in the podcast video on the YouTube, like the whole episode.
I like Ken Shapiro though.
Yeah, we'll put it as a marker in the chapters, so people still get to see it at one point in time. That'll be really good. So yeah, let's watch it real quick. Let's watch Ben Shapiro being cringe for the memes.
So obviously, this is a 45-minute video, so we're not watching the whole fucking thing. We'll watch like the first couple minutes.
When you first met K-12, our commitment was to help you get where you want to be. With K-12
Well, folks, I just got back from the theaters seeing Barbie and Oppenheimer. I'm about to review both of them.
Ben Shapiro.
Which one of these is the best blockbuster of 2023, and which one is?
I gotta say, he looks better when he shaves.
And so we have an image here of Ben Shapiro. He is holding a Barbie doll in one hand, and he's holding the nuclear missile in the other hand, very firmly. All fingers wrapped around that base. He's got it. He's very daintily.
He's gripping it.
Yeah, he. You know which one he likes more. The nukes. Obviously, it's not. We're not saying anything else.
Yeah, no,
he likes the nukes more. It's the point he's making in his physical symbology here. So let's let him talk a little bit more.
Maybe the worst. I bet he loved our movie, right, Ken? For those of you who can't wait that long, I'm going to give
He thought that was
Barbie movie in
hilarious.
the most
His editors. So what happened right there is he threw it and then he missed, and then his editor photoshopped a thing and made it flip, and then they had it cut to where it was in the trash next to a Barbie car with a different Barbie in it. And so there are two Barbies in a trash can with a Barbie car. And he's lighting a match. And he lit on fire. He burned it. He did fucking a whole bunch of the free stock screaming noises you can get.
So the things I do for my audience, my producers dragged me to go see Barbie the movie. And
I find it very funny how he says the exact same words in both the post and the script.
Like he's just reading from a script.
Well, yeah, and maybe he is for the intro, or just maybe he memorized this little thing because he was thinking about the phrase, my employees dragged me to Barbie for days, probably.
He's read his tweet over and over, and he's just got it memorized.
He's like, this is the best strategy to make sure people don't think I wanted to watch the movie.
Yeah.
Even though he's like, when he isn't doing weird propaganda, when he's around people who don't know politics and stuff, he probably blends in with that fucking jean jacket and doesn't talk politics and is just normal dude watching Barbie and enjoying it. He was laughing at the funny parts. Yeah. He was fucking doing all of it.
And it's funny because, like, think about how much of this kind of content he actually consumes. The content that he hates, this woke shit, this gay shit, this fucking feminist shit, all this shit.
He wanted to be a screenwriter, and he couldn't hack it. And so he got on the Daily Wire. A lot of them are failed actors and screenwriters.
He probably spends as much time watching this woke shit that he hates so much as he does watching, like, shit that he actually likes.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to me.
Yeah. If he even does that, I think Ben Shapiro is the most non-believer person in the world when it comes to conspiracies. I think he's literally like the wormiest.
I don't think he believes in conspiracies. He's just like a very surface level conservative fucking.
Well, he's pretty far right. He's not like he's like
but I've
Daily Wire.
Anything I've heard where it comes to like right-wing conspiracies, I don't think I've heard him support any of that kind of stuff.
He is the owner of his business, so he doesn't support the crazy things, but he lets his employees support the crazy things. he runs the Daily Wire, and there are people that have Daily Wire shows that spread a lot of that same stuff. He just doesn't personally do it. Ben Shapiro's like sort of like as sanitized as he can get, but also I don't even think he says wild shit, and I don't think he believes in that shit. I think he goes home and he has normal sex with his wife. I don't think it's dry sex. I think he does that because he's doing a fucking character to make money for his job as a propagandist. You know, he doesn't. Yeah. And I think it's pretty obvious from his like the way he keeps himself buttoned up that he like probably functions fine outside of this. Some of these other people, you can tell they leave and they have nothing else. They leave this fucking camera and they go home and like they're like
Alex Jones.
Yeah, they're just like mean to all the people they know, and nobody likes them, so they go back to their show to be validated. You know, there are definitely people like that. Alex Jones.
In situations like this, I feel like he's like slipping because like he doesn't come off as smart. He's not saying, he's making statements that like well, you'll hear him here in a second say that there's one joke in this whole movie. Motherfucker, there were jokes throughout the entire movie. I was laughing. I thought that there was plenty of times that I thought it was funny. Yeah, and then he even later on starts talking shit on another joke that they make because of how inappropriate it is for little girls. And he keeps on making the claim that this movie is for little girls, even though it's PG-13. So, but no, all of this is in the beginning.
Let's see how tired he gets at the end.
We're going to skip the PG-13 rating and bring their daughters there anyway. It's a culturally relevant moment.
Oh, he looks tired. Look at him.
And so
his
the
eyes
entire
are saggy.
To play the face tattoo syndrome. Watch as we take a piece of children's IP and wear its skin around like a mask, like Hannibal Lecter, and we notice it, and then they're like, you noticed it? You're obviously very upset. I find it upsetting when material based on children's IP, marketed to little girls, actually ends up being angry feminist claptrap that alienates men from women, undermines basic human values, and promotes falsehood all at the same time.
Promotes falsehood. It's a movie about Barbies.
So we'll see what the income
I wonder what he would say about Die Hard. Does Die Hard promote falsehood?
It promotes
masculine
energy.
Machismo, right?
Yeah, it teaches values of real family values, treating women with respect and having a family and procreating and having little children that you can project your insecurities onto.
You want to be able to hit them.
Yeah.
That's what they always argue with me about on the internet.
Yeah, a lot of people really want to hit their
people
kids.
Love it. It was like beat into them. But should I? No, I think that's a fair joke because the people I'm making a joke on ended up also supporting beating up kids.
Yeah, but like
you can just click. You can just click wherever. Or you'd
also know exactly where. It's kind of okay, right here somewhere.
Every possible level is a horrific movie. The only thing that can be said for this film is production design. Production design is really nice. Costumes are really nice. Also, it's really hard to screw that up. It's really hard to screw that up because you literally have this to model after. All you have to do is this, but big. Okay, it's really
not true at all.
Put aside all of the beautiful costumes.
You think all that shit's made out of plastic
and all
everything?
The production design and the Barbie universe and all of that. Every joke that happens in this film happens basically within the first 45 seconds of the film. So, for example, Barbie turns on the water and there's no water. Ooh, because, like in Barbie house, there's no actual water. Do you get it? And then she drinks, but there's no actual liquid in the actual cup. Oh my God, because she's a Barbie doll. Oh, I get it. Okay, that's all the jokes.
Well, man, it is.
There are no more jokes for the rest of the film.
There are no more jokes for the rest of the film.
Okay, so conceptually, the movie is.
You already know that's bullshit. You don't even have to watch the movie.
Who's the intended audience for this film?
He knows.
I'll tell you the intended
audience. I'm so tired of him.
And then he, like I said, he goes on to start complaining about a joke they made in the movie about where two of the Kens are about to beach off each other. And he's like, I'll beat you off. And he's like, oh, I'll beat you both off at the same time. I mean, we've heard jokes like very similar to that in other media. other PG-13
I've
media.
literally
like,
heard that same joke. In
like
fucking-
almost exact same joke.
in like South Park, I think.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that
Which
is
I guess, I mean, South Park is definitely more mature than this movie.
Yeah, but if you, nobody's saying you're a piece of shit if you let your 12-year-old watch South Park, you know.
I mean, some people are, but
yeah, but not, I guess, yeah.
But
fuck those people.
Okay,
fuck the people.
First of all, he argues multiple times that this is a movie for children, but it's PG-13. I understand that Barbies are typically something that children play with, but when you see a movie that's rated PG-13, it doesn't matter what the characters are in the movie. It's PG-13.
Yeah.
You don't bring your 9-year-old and then be like, they made an inappropriate joke that for teenagers in this PG-13 movie.
Harry Potter's PG-13. I don't understand what Harry Potter is PG-13. You're still bringing little kids there. It's okay if they have a little bit of adult themes in it. The parents want to do something too. We're not in there watching fucking Coco Melon.
Yeah. And he even acknowledges that by mentioning like all the different references they make. They reference 2001: A Space Odyssey. They reference like all these adult movies that children are not going to understand.
Yeah.
And he's like, this is a movie for moms and their 9-year-old daughters.
Yeah, I think you hit it
Like,
on the nail.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
What do
got
you...
it. You figured it out.
So, yeah, you figured out the whole thing.
I'm just wondering why you're watching it. Oh, it's because Ben Shapiro he loves the culture war and he owns his business. So he can be like, yeah, I think today I'm going to make I'm going to splash into the internet by making a fucking almost an hour long video about fucking and bragging about it. It destroys the Barbie movie for 30
Yeah,
for 43
he's like
minutes.
proud of being so mad at this movie. It's so crazy.
He's proud of the people making fun of him too. Like, when he did the said the lyrics to WAP. Have you ever heard of that? Ben Shapiro said the lyrics to WAP.
This seems familiar.
And
yeah.
He said this, and so people made a Ben Shapiro WAP song. I could probably look it up.
Oh, let's do it.
And we'll close the show with Ben Shapiro WAP.
Ben Shapiro sings WAP.
Whores in this house. There's some whores in this house. There's some whores in this house. There's some whores in this house. I said certified freak. 7 days a week. Wet ass P word. Make that pull out game weak. Yeah, you effing with some wet ass P word. Bring a bucket and a mop for this wet ass P word. Give me everything you've got for this wet ass P word. Beat it up, N word, catch a charge. Extra large and extra hard. Put this P word right in your face. Swipe your nose like a credit card.
Yeah.
Hop on top if I want to ride. Add you a Kegel, well, it's inside. Spit in my mouth, look in my eyes. This P word is wet, come take a dive. It continues along these lines. And it gets significantly more vulgar. Like a lot more vulgar.
Does it? Does it really? Or does it just kind of like...
Yeah,
like there's no way he did that not knowing that people were going to take bits of that and make jokes out of it.
Yeah,
you know? Like
exactly.
There's no way
that video had 5.5 million views on it.
He knew that was going to be memed to shit. He knew that. There's no way you do that not knowing.
Yeah. And he's bragged about it. Since then, he's bragged about his version of WAP. Like, he's like, makes jokes about, oh, I have a version of WAP on the internet, you know? But he didn't actually directly produce it himself. He relied on the internet to make memes, which is the same thing like Alex Jones has relied on for like the later half of his
And
career.
some of those memes are great.
Yeah.
They're amazing.
But they're meant to spread Alex Jones like stuff. And he puts them out there. He spreads them on purpose. And he's like,
I don't know if that's what they're meant for, but that they're definitely used that way.
He has been like, he's said like wild stuff and then been like, yeah, I really hope people don't take that out of context. That would be really crazy if people recorded me saying that I wanted to just kill everybody. I don't want to kill everybody, okay?
Yeah.
Like, just some shit like that.
But he's fucking wild because, like, I'm sure you've seen his deposition video, all right? And what was it? His deposition video where he like says like as a straw man, like, yeah, you know what? You're right. I went in there and I killed them all myself. I went in there with a gun and I shot those kids. He says something like that. Was that his deposition video?
Yeah.
That is such an insane
And he
thing
did
to
that
do.
for the memes, though. He did that for the memes. It's
In a
fucking
deposition
insane.
video?
Yeah.
Like,
he is
bro,
fucking.
what the fuck?
He is a madman. That's what makes him like more from like there's a meme lord and then there's dangerous, and he is dangerous. Like he's not just he's making memes that are dark. Like it's a very dark thing to do, is to be like, I could really like do like a good outburst at this court thing and fucking content for days. Everybody's talking about me, you know, and fucking that's what he did.
It's insane.
Yeah. Okay, we're ending it.
We didn't do our plugs.
Here,
we do our plugs, bro.
We forgot our plugs. Hey, Bradley, do your plugs.
Shit.
Good thing you remember that. We almost
Yeah.
forgot it, but
Yeah.
perfect episode. So we're going to do a perfect episode. I got them both going.
All right. Plugs. We got to end every episode with our plugs.
Yeah.
That's how we do this shit. B Deli. B-Delley. I don't know either. Don't ask.
Yeah.
I don't know what it means. You can find me on YouTube. The handle is at BDeliOfficial. No dash. Instagram, same. At BDeliOfficial. No dash, no periods or anything. Just all lowercase. Yeah, there we go.
That's all you post on?
Yeah, I have TikTok. I don't really post there.
We're going to start getting stuff on TikTok.
When I start, I'll start plugging those more when I actually start doing that shit.
I wanted,
you know?
I've been thinking like the second I think once I get to once I do 2 or 3 more videos on my channel, I'm going to stop producing them for a few months and start trying to get them out there, like sharing them with all the creators I can. And, like trying to get reaction channels to watch them and stuff. And, in that time, I'll try to like maybe write a verse.
Yeah,
we can make a little beat, write a verse, and fucking do a live performance. I'll do a live performance.
There's something I've actually wanted to suggest for you, is to write something for like to record, so I can first of all kind of work with you. I don't know what it's like to mix with your voice. So I've only mixed my voice.
Yeah.
So, you know, it'd be cool to work with that and kind of figure that out.
When you do like if you produce any stuff with my voice, I want it to be like, use your sample track, because you know you want to have like a thing that you're referencing, like your reference track. I want it to be like the reference track to be like 90s hip hop. I want it to be like Queen Latifah. I want that to be the reference.
Queen
track.
Latifah.
Yeah, I want you to make it sound the same.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think I want to do that. Probably maybe even sooner. Also, because I want to write it and actually memorize it and perform it. You know, just a little 8-bar verse and do it for the show. I think it would be fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like you haven't really written.
I haven't written anything in a long time.
Yeah.
But I think I'm ready to get back in there. I'm ready to jump back.
I haven't written in a while, actually, too. Most of my shit, like most.
I'm
of my
excited to write I Like Cats. I think once we start writing I Like Cats, it'll be really fun too.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to moving on to new projects that are completely fresh.
Yeah,
that haven't been like preconceived for a while, and you know,
don't have a whole bunch of baggage behind them.
Yeah, shit that is just like, we get in the fucking studio, we write to this beat, you know. Like,
okay. So I forgot to introduce the podcast at the beginning, but that's okay. My name is Malachi on all major platforms. Malachi Beats on the ones that it's not Malachi. I guess it's not Malachi in anything. It's Malachi Juarez on my YouTube documentary channel, and it's Malachi Beats on my Beat YouTube, and it's Malachi Beats on all my socials. So if you want to find me on social media, I do not post a lot, but I'm there. Okay, that's it. The theme song.
That's it. Theme song.